好，各位大家好，歡迎咧大家咧嚟到書展嘅呢一個有關呢個桌遊啦、遊遊天地呢一個部分咧，我哋今日咧就會有一個咧叫做由情牽波蘭咧去舉辦嘅呢個叫桌遊波蘭嘅活動。大家好，我係 Jenny 陳珍妮，大家好啊！咁咧今日嚟到書展啦，我見到有唔少在座嘅朋友，我相信都係家長嚟嘅喎，咁啊帶咗自己嘅小朋友嚟去聽啦呢一個咧有關呢個桌遊嘅呢一個嘅介紹嘅。咁我相信咧近幾年咧其實好多嘅小朋友咧都中意咗玩呢個 board game 喎，尤其是可能啦喺 Covid 之後啦，大家多咗屋企多咗時間啊，咁咧就可以有啲親子嘅遊戲咧，就可以咧同你嘅細路仔一齊玩。桌遊咧係一個好益智嘅活動，因為唔單止係可以訓練到你嘅智力啦，同時亦都可以學到好多歷史嘅嘢嘅喎。咁咧歡迎大家咧嚟到呢個咧，我哋呢個活動就叫做 Discover Poland Through Board Game。咁呢個咧就係可以探討一下一啲國際視野，可能用遊戲都可以探討國際視野咧，都係一個唔錯嘅教育方法嚟嘅。不過啦，可惜因為 Covid 啦，其實又唔搭得飛機啦，咁我哋就唔可以去知道一啲外國嘅，因為我哋唔可以去觀光啊嘛，暫時。不過唔緊要，我哋咧可以用 board game 咧去了解下一啲其他國家嘅歷史嘅。嗱，咁如果有玩過 board game 咧，你哋都相信咧知道啦，其實 board game 嘅緣起咧好多咧都係嚟自歐洲啦，或者係美洲啦。而有唔少嘅遊戲咧，都係根據歷史咧去構思出嚟嘅。咁所以咧玩 board game 咪可以當係環遊世界咁樣啦。咁但係點解今日我哋會專係講波蘭嘅一啲嘅board game 咧？嗱，大家可能未必好熟悉波蘭嘅。不過咧，你知唔知道 board game 咧其實咧喺波蘭啊係一個好馳名去發掘呢個發明一啲 board game 嘅一個國家嚟嘅。咁所以我哋今日咧就請到兩位非常之熟悉波蘭嘅嘉賓，同大家咧去介紹一下波蘭，跟住睇下佢哋嘅 board game 係點樣可以令到大家認識多啲波蘭呢？咁我哋首先咧就有請波蘭駐港總領事 Dr. Aleksander Dańda 同我哋做一個介紹。I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Aleksander Dańda, Consul-General of Poland in Hong Kong, to give us a welcome speech. Please give a big hand to Dr. Dańda.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm trying to, in my super short intervention here, I'm trying to do the impossible, which means to present a little bit of basic information, general information on Poland to you, but also to concentrate on some of the specifics of Polish board games, which are both rooted in history, but they are with universal appeal, so you can also sympathize and you can also understand quite easily what the history of those games is about and what is the gameplay about. So let us begin with some basic information on Poland. A few pictures for the beginning. So this is Poland. Poland, the land of Chopin, the land of weeping willows, the land of lush greenery, fertile soil, lots of crops. This is also Poland, land of lakes, big lakes in the Missouri. This is also Poland. We have got the access to the sea. It is not the warm sea that you have got here in Hong Kong. It's a cold Baltic Sea, but we love it nevertheless. And we've got dunes, as you can see, although they are covered with grass, most of them. This is also Poland. We've got the access to the mountains in the south of Poland. So Poland is the land of geographical diversity. And apart from that, we have got also some big cities. Well, this is not the picture which impresses people in Hong Kong, I believe, yes, because you've got much more skyscrapers in this beautiful city than we do in Warsaw. But just imagine that before World War II, Warsaw was a completely different city, and it has been rebuilt from the ashes after World War II. So the picture that you can see in here, this is brand new, although some of the parts of the old city were reconstructed from the scratch. And I'll come back to that when I'll be talking about board games in a moment. This is also Poland, the second biggest city, the city where I come from, the former capital of Poland, Kraków, the city of Polish kings. Also a very important university center, and well, one of the marvels of the world, the main square that you can see in here, it has been included in the very first World Heritage List back in 1978 by UNESCO. Now, some basic facts. Poland is not a big but not a small country. We are somewhere in the middle as far as Europe is concerned. We've got more than 38 million people. This is the 5th largest country in the EU presently. Our capital is Warsaw. Our official language is Polish, and basically all of people in Poland, they speak Polish, but more and more people speak English because these days even 3-year-olds are taught English compulsory in the kindergartens and even the pre-kindergartens level. So by the Economist reckoning from last year, Polish people are considered to be one of the best English speakers all over the world in non-English speaking countries, which means that we are just after the Nordics and ahead of Germans or French. We are part of the Schengen area, which means that once you get to Poland, you can basically travel around Europe without showing your passport on the border, because there are no borders in the Schengen area, not in the meaning that we know of. And it is a rapidly developing country as far as economy is concerned. Last year was the first year in probably 25 years when we did not have the GDP growth. That was because of COVID, but this year we are already growing more than 4%. And even back in the times when there was the financial crisis, 2007, 2008, we were growing, although most of the developed world was not growing at all. So a strong economy as well. And also what is not so well known, Poland is the center for the studies at the university level, which can be also given in English. So if you are considering some further higher education in Europe, you can also think about Poland. More information on that you can find even today at our booth on the first level of this beautiful building, because we have got the booth at the book fair, which is running concurrently with Leisure Expo. Now, Poland is in the heart of Europe, although we are titled as the country from the east central part of Europe, but this is geographically speaking the very center of the continent. We have been accepted to the EU in 2004, and since 2007 we are also the part of the Schengen area. So once again, I repeat, no checks on the border free movement. And as you can see, no long distances between different cities in Europe and outside of Europe. The direct flight to Beijing takes less than 10 hours. Now, a little bit about two Polish board games that I have got in front of me right now. The first of those board games is called Animal Husbandry, or at least it used to be called like that, because today it is better known as the Super Farmer or the Rancho. So this is the game that I've got just ahead of me. Animal Husbandry, which in Polish is Hodowla zwierzątek. This is a board and dice game invented and published by the Polish mathematician, the professor of mathematics. His name was Karol Borsuk, and he was the professor of Warsaw University back in the 1930s and 1940s. So he produced this game at his own expense in 1943, during World War II, during the time when Germans occupied Poland, and they decided to close Warsaw University. So he didn't have any money to support his family. So what he came up with was this game, and he was earning the living for him and for his family by selling the game. The game was produced manually by his wife, and first they were selling to the circle of friends and then to the wide public, because the game became so popular in Warsaw that everybody wanted to have one copy of it. The game was also one of the first in the world that used 12-sided dice. As you can see in one of those pictures, 12-sided dice used for the gameplay. And well, for decades, all copies of the game were considered to be lost. You remember I told you at the beginning of my of my talking that Warsaw was completely demolished during World War II. There was the time when the Poles rebelled against the Germans. It was called the Warsaw Uprising, and as a result of that, Warsaw was completely destroyed. And all copies of the game were thought to be destroyed as well. However, in the 1990s, we rediscovered one last copy. One last copy was found, and basing on that, there was a new edition of the game called Super Farmer, and now the new iteration of the game called Rancho, which I have got ahead of me. It was produced with the permission of the original producer, with the permission of Borsuk family. The goal is simple. You need to get each of the farm animals, rabbit, sheep, pig, cow, and horse. Each player begins with one rabbit. Players can trade animals or breed more animals using the throwing of the dice. There are also special events on the dice, such as the wolf or the fox, which can cause you to lose all your animals, unless you have got a guard dog, that is. It is really fun. It seems simple, but it's truly fun. I play this game every now and then together with my family, although my daughters are serious teenagers these days already. The second game that I would like to talk to you about is called The Queue, quite simply. In Polish, Kolejka. We've got 6 language versions of that game already, and more coming probably. This game tells the story of everyday life in Poland back in the 1980s. The players have to send the family members out to various shops on the game board, and they need to buy all the items that they have got on the shopping list. So it seems simple, yes? But it wasn't like that back in the 1980s in Poland, simply because the shelves in the shops were empty. The game truly reflects the reality, the scenes which I remember from my childhood. You needed to be super clever in those times to provide for your family and to get even the simple groceries for the table for your family as well. Now it is much easier. All you need is money. Yes, back then you needed to have this cunning. The players line up their pawns in front of the shops without knowing which shop will have the delivery. In the course of the game, it turns out that there will be enough product cards only for the few people standing closest to the door of a shop. And since everybody wants to be the first in the shop, the queue starts to push up against the door. And to get ahead in the queue, the people use some special trick cards, such as mother carrying small child, or this is not your place, sir, or under the counter goods, or special connections. Only those players who make the best use of those cards that they have got in their hand, they will come home with full shopping bags. A special extra is the pictures on the cards, because on the product cards there are photos of 60 original objects from the Polish 1980s. So what I can say is that this game really reflects the reality of Poland back then. And well, of course, these days the queue here in Hong Kong is probably only remembered from the initial phase of COVID, when everybody was queuing for the toilet paper and for the masks and for the hand sanitizer. And let's hope it stays in the history like that. There are also some other board games which I could talk a lot about, but I had only 10 minutes and I already overstayed my welcome probably. So I will just be very, very brief on the 3 pictures that we have got in here. One is the mushroom picking, another game that I have got in front of me over here. Mushroom picking is one of the favorite pastimes in Poland because we've got lots of forest retained back from the Middle Ages. Also, we have got Warsaw City of Ruins. In this game, you are able to rebuild Warsaw after the war. And Little Insurgents, which tells the story of little scouts who were delivering post in the times of the wartime Warsaw. So that is it from me. If you are interested in history of Poland, you can discover it by the board games. As you can see, our board games are deeply rooted in history. And you can also learn more about history and culture of Poland when you visit our booth at the first floor of this building. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the sharing and introduction from Dr. Dańda。咁好啦，我喺 Dr. Dańda 嘅分享完之後咧，我哋咧就有請情牽波蘭嘅創辦人同埋總監 Miss Nancy Chui 同我哋講幾句説話。有請 Nancy。
各位朋友，你哋好。Hello, good afternoon, everybody。好快就係講下情牽波蘭個名。情牽波蘭大家廣東話都明白。但今日大家學一個波蘭字 Kocham Polske 就係解 Love Poland。So if I say Kocham Polske, if you say Kocham Polske, the Poles will say they know you love Poland。咁如果愛香港即係乜嘢呢？ Kocham Hong Kong。So Kocham Polske, love Poland. Kocham Hong Kong, love Hong Kong。咁今日大家學識咗一個字啦。情牽波蘭，我哋呢個機構呢，其實就係推廣喺香港推廣波蘭文化嘅機構。咁我哋個我要 move 去個 slide 度。OK。我哋好簡單嘅啫。2018年10月，我哋就開幕啦。其實都係唔夠3歲。咁我哋有一個好靚嘅 gallery 喺灣仔皇后大道東。咁比起當日開幕咧，多咗好多嘢嘅啦。咁好歡迎各位可能去完書展或者其他時間咧，可以上嚟我哋嗰度。咁就我哋其實就係波蘭駐港總領事館咧，係我哋嘅榮譽贊助。咁雖然係香港人創立嘅機構啦，但係其實我哋同喺香港住嘅波蘭人咧係非常之有緊密嘅關係。咁呢個就係我哋嘅 first birthday 嘅時候咧嘅合照。咁究竟我哋呢個情牽波蘭係點樣運作嘅咧？其實就係4大範疇。我哋係根據波蘭嘅文化啦。然後我哋推廣呢個去波蘭玩啦，去旅遊啦，然後亦都推廣波蘭升學同埋精品嘅。咁我諗跟住嚟呢，就係今日 board game， 一陣間阿 Charles 會講好多 board game 啦。咁情牽波蘭呢，我哋係舊年開始呢，其實都有成立咗唔同嘅興趣小組啦。咁呢個就係我哋10月嘅時候一個 board game。咁我哋都有玩頭先啊 CG 講過嘅呢個摘蘑菇嘅喎，咁可以上嚟我哋嗰度玩啦。咁另外有一場呢，又玩過另外一啲 game 嘅。不過跟住呢，其實好多 game 呢都係啱啱到香港呢。我哋曾經試玩過嚇，咁但係一陣間都要等阿 Charles 介紹啦。咁最後呢，其實都係希望大家會開始同我哋一齊認識波蘭。我唔係波蘭專家，但係真係真心愛上波蘭。咁希望大家會同我哋一樣 love Poland，呢個愛波蘭。咁嚟緊呢，其實我哋有好多係7月份嘅活動呢，都係叫做 Discover Poland 啦。咁而家係書展啦，我哋有書識波蘭啦，亦都有用一啲波蘭嘅 board games 咧。係前面呢兩個呢，我哋會有一啲係小朋友嘅創意工作坊啦，亦都有詩人啦咁亦都有呢個詩遊波蘭嘅。咁我諗就係咁樣啦。咁我將時間就交俾跟住嗰位講者，多謝大家。
好，唔該晒 Nancy 嘅。咁喺呢個時候咧，我哋請 Time to Play Games 嘅 Charles 咧，佢就會為大家深入介紹下同波蘭相關嘅 board games。我哋有請 Charles。
係，hello 大家好。咁我叫 Charles 啦，咁就係嚟自 Time to Play Games。咁啊 ，which is 今次嘅其中一個參展商。咁咧，其實我諗首先從board game 產業，可能講少少關於波蘭嘅背景先。咁啊，好多時我哋會話現代嘅 board game 嘅起源地會係嚟自德國嗰邊。咁啊，當然全球最大嘅呢個 board game 嘅展覽，其實每年都會喺德國嗰邊舉行嘅。咁而其實波蘭咧就會係德國嘅鄰國。咁由於波蘭嗰邊仍然有唔少嘅輕工業啦，咁所以咧會有好多德國嘅 board game 咧就係喺波蘭生產嘅。再加上波蘭政府嗰邊本身有一啲對於遊戲業嘅支持啦，咁所以咧喺波蘭嗰邊係會有非常非常多嘅 board game 嘅生產商。咁可能即係大家認識嘅會係可能美國德國或者英國可能會比較大家知道嘅 board game 嘅國家。咁但係其實波蘭喺我哋個行業入邊都係非常之蓬勃嘅一個國家嚟嘅。咁啊，呢度 list 咗少少關於波蘭嘅一啲出版商啦。咁啊，譬如Portal 啊、Grana 咁樣樣。咁頭先提及過喺德國每年都會有一個好大型嘅展覽。咁其實咧會有3個大型嘅展館裏邊都係會擺一啲真係國際級嘅廠商咧。其中就會包括到 Portal 同埋 Grana 啦。咁啊，佢哋有其他散落少少嘅展館就會擺一啲細啲嘅展商嘅。咁其實都會揾到好多唔同波蘭桌遊嘅身影。咁而其實最令人可能會深印象嘅就係除咗 唔同嘅出版商之外咧，其實波蘭嗰邊係連一啲同政府相關嘅機構啦，都會有出版波蘭嘅。呢一個就係國家記憶研究院，咁啊 which 係波蘭嗰邊啦，一個探討一啲歷史啦嘅同埋一啲嗰個即係國家發展嘅一個咁嘅部門嚟嘅。咁而頭先領事已經提及過啦，咁其實就係Kocham 呢一隻 game。咁其實 Kocham 嘅意思咧，呢個係波蘭文啦，佢嘅意思其實就係我哋香港人所講嘅排隊。係啦，頭先如果有聽到CG 裏邊提及過嗰個內容嘅話咧，咁其實就會見到就係佢個歷史背景就係講緊喺呢個實行共產主義嘅年代嘅波蘭，咁啊要獲得唔同嘅物資咧，都需要去唔同嘅鋪頭門口排隊。咁然之後就透過可能會有啲人會係排隊黨啦，又可能會有人帶小朋友希望可以排得前啲嘅位置啦，甚至乎有啲鋪頭其實佢哋並冇實際上賣緊嘢嘅。咁就喺呢一個咁樣嘅客觀嘅情況底下，就希望可以俾到一個 message 就係其實共產主義並唔係想像中咁容易實行到咁一個理想嘅一個狀況。咁所以點解波蘭實行資本主義之後咧，就會係啦提出即係用翻呢個遊戲嚟令到大家知道其實有唔同嘅社會形式都會有佢嘅利弊咁樣樣。然之後咧，今次我哋帶嚟嘅主要會係Grana 其中就係波蘭嘅一間出版商。咁幾款中文版嘅 Grana 嘅遊戲其實就係嚟自台灣歌歌桌遊嗰邊佢哋做嘅中文版嘅版本嚟嘅。咁啊而家由我哋就引入咗嚟香港啦。咁頭先領事都提及過啦，就 Super Farmer Rancho 咁啊 Super Farmer 本身係波蘭嗰邊一個傳統嘅遊戲咁樣樣。咁其實 Rancho 其實會係後來另一位設計師做嘅一個致敬嘅姊妹作嚟嘅。咁啊由呢個Farmer 嚟講變成 Rancho 嘅話咧，咁當中其實牽涉到好多配件上唔同嘅嘢啦。咁譬如大家都可能喺呢個相片裏邊見到㗎啦。咁啊會有一啲嘅動物，咁係你自己嘅牧場本身會可以喺度繁殖，同埋即係繼續喺度成長咁樣樣。咁啊當中你都可以僱用一啲狗隻係啦，去防範狐狸同埋狼嘅入侵。咁就確保你嘅喺個嗰個牧場裏邊嘅動物係可以能夠安全成長咁樣樣嘅。咁其實遊戲個目的都非常之有趣啦。咁佢就係要你發展到成為你個牧場裏邊，因為裏邊有4種可以養殖嘅動物嘅。咁包括呢個兔仔啦、羊啦、牛啦同埋馬。咁其實你如果要贏嘅話咧，就會係需要儲齊呢4款動物，咁你就會可以贏到㗎啦。咁其實當中雖然呢一隻係一個比較，你見到畫風好可愛啦，啲配件都好可愛，咁但係亦都可以俾小朋友從中可以學到啲資源管理啦，即係包括你裏邊嘅動物要點樣調配啊，要點樣替換啊，咁同埋當中有狗同埋狼嗰個衝突，亦都可以俾大家理解到點樣叫做一啲風險管理咁樣樣嘅。係啦，咁今次落到嚟就會係介紹一款遊戲叫做首都華沙。咁其實頭先喺領事嘅 present 都裏邊有見過，佢英文名曾經有一個版本叫Warsaw 就 City of Ruins，就講緊係一個滅亡嘅城市咁樣樣。因為其實華沙喺即係或者波蘭成個國家嚟講啦，都喺歷史上經歷過好多場唔同嘅戰爭，咁啊令到佢曾經被摧毀過好多次，亦都重建過好多次。咁其實呢一個遊戲本身亦都係反映緊呢一個歷史事實。咁啊，你見到啦，台面上面會有6個嘅階段，咁其實當中都會有啲唔同嘅建築物喺度，其實就代表緊嗰個時期嘅建築物嚟嘅。咁啊喺每一個時期經過咗之後咧，咁其實所有嘅建築物都會移除，然之後再重新興建一啲新嘅建築物。咁啊，每一個人其實就要規劃緊自己發展嗰個城市，咁啊從而喺個城市發展之中係獲得最高嘅分數咁樣樣，就會係呢個遊戲嘅目的咁樣樣啦。咁啊，亦都可以睇一睇 Capital 裏邊即係呢個遊戲本身裏邊會有啲咩特色建築物啦。咁啊，譬如有總統府啦，同埋你見到會有一個好現代嘅地鐵站。咁亦都會有一啲即係古時嘅宮殿啊。咁啊，而家嘅大學同埋中央百貨，其實你會見到成個佢哋個地標建築裏邊咧，都會係好多唔同嘅歷史嘅階段，亦都可以透過呢一個遊戲裏邊。可以係分享到俾大家嘅就係呢一啲嘅建築物佢本身嘅嗰個外觀咁樣樣。咁啊，就算呢個遊戲咧，可能你未必會玩，咁但係佢本身已經可以作為一個波蘭或者叫做華沙嘅一個旅遊指南都可以㗎啦。咁啊，另外仲有2款啦 ，Spaghetti 同埋 Civilization。咁其實都係波蘭嘅設計師設計嘅，但係可能佢哋相對嚟講咧，嗰個波蘭本身嘅特色同埋文化就未必咁重。咁所以就我哋擺埋一齊去介紹啦。咁啊 Spaghetti 裏邊其實就會有一啲嘅偏向動作遊戲啦。咁啊會 喺個限時裏邊咧，就會去拎翻一啲意粉出嚟，咁啊，然之後就睇下你拎到幾多就會計分。咁當然啦，拎意粉就唔係咁簡單嘅動作，就唔可以令到其他嘅意粉啦，或者當中嘅肉丸啦，咁啊跌離咗個碟嘅。係啦，咁就呢個會可能係比較適合啲年紀細少少嘅小朋友，咁啊做一啲小肌肉嘅訓練啦。咁就亦都當中會學到啲菜式嘅名嘅，譬如你如果見到嗰啲圓形嘅圓片上面咧，其實佢會有啲數字，佢當中其實都全部都係一啲真實嘅意粉嘅菜式，譬如大家可能熟悉嘅卡邦尼意粉咁樣樣。咁我哋就要攞翻唔同嘅意粉組合嚟去組成到呢啲組合嘅話，又會有額外嘅分數。而 civilization 就好明顯啦，其實佢會係一個 civilization 文明類嘅一個遊戲嚟嘅。咁喺個遊戲入邊，亦都係為咗你自己嘅部落去發展一啲技術啦，亦都要保障有足夠嘅食物去維持你嘅成個部落嘅成長咁樣樣。咁啊，個遊戲非常之特別嘅就係你喺過程之中係會不停獲得啲開心嘅指數，咁你就維持到最高嘅開心指數，就會係呢個遊戲勝負嘅關鍵啦。好，咁另外就最後啦，都會介紹多一款相對地係波蘭一間比較小型少少嘅出版商嘅遊戲，咁啊 Board Games 嘅 Taste of Poland。咁呢個其實最特別一樣嘢就係頭先介紹 spaghetti 嘅時候咧，可能就會冇一啲波蘭嘅菜式，或者唔係話好傳統波蘭菜式。而 Taste of Poland 咧就真係喺度介紹緊一啲波蘭傳統嘅菜式啦。而且最緊要嗰樣嘢係咧，佢除咗係會話俾你聽個菜式之外咧，佢甚至乎裏邊嘅插圖咧都係用咗呢一啲波蘭菜式真實嘅圖片，咁啊可以俾到你見到真正嗰個真正嘅面貌。而玩家本身就係一個食家，咁你就要收集材料去組成呢一啲嘅美食，咁啊攞到最高嘅分數，亦都即係大致上就係食到最多唔同波蘭美食嘅話咧，就會贏出呢個遊戲㗎啦。咁其實大家都會見到啦，喺好多唔同嘅波蘭嘅遊戲，其實唔單止波蘭遊戲嘅，好多有文化背景嘅 board game 都會可以從中學習到一啲當地嘅一啲文化嘅知識，或者一啲歷史咁樣樣。咁啊，希望亦都借呢個機會可以將 board game 嘅另一面可以帶到俾大家。其實唔單止係一個玩樂嘅一個玩具或者一個媒介咁樣樣，而其實當中喺設計師佢哋擺咗好多心思、好多心血入去，係可以有一啲嘅內容係俾到大家去喺中間學習咁樣樣嘅。咁就係啦，我哋嘅展位就會喺5B22嘅。咁啊，陣間大家如果有時間完咗呢個section 之後，都可以過去參觀下咁樣樣。咁今日我嘅分享到呢度，多謝晒各位。
好，咁咧就係唔該晒3位嘅，唔該晒 Dr. Dańda 啦，唔該晒 Nancy 同埋唔該晒 Charles 嘅。